Hold on to your butts, because it's time for another retro review. But you didn't say the magic word. As if you needed to say the magic word to ask me to talk about one of the greatest movies of all time. But welcome back to my channel, ladies and gentlemen, and I am so excited to start a brand new retro playlist with you guys in the hype up to Jurassic World Dominion, which releases worldwide. I'm going to be talking about the 5 previous Jurassic Park films to hype us up for that big day. And what better way to kick it off than with the 1993 instant classic Jurassic Park, directed by the one and only Steven Spielberg. Like, think about it. This guy made Jurassic Park and Schindler's List all within the same year. That's fucking insane. But as I'm sure you're aware, this movie has influenced so many people, not just film students, like my buddy Jacob Hubbard, who I'll give a special shout out to here. This is his favorite movie of all time, and it's a hard point to argue against. If this is your favorite movie ever, it's a good choice. As if you needed me to recap the plot synopsis, we of course follow a couple of paleontologists, Alan Grant and Ellie Sattler, of course played by Sam Neill and Laura Dern respectively, and they're among a select group chosen to tour an island theme park, Isla Nublar, populated by dinosaurs created from prehistoric DNA. Also among that select group is skeptical mathematician Ian Malcolm, played masterfully by the one and only Jeff Goldblum. Life finds a way. But of course, while the park's mastermind, John Hammond, a billionaire played by Richard Attenborough, assures everyone that the facility is safe, they find out otherwise when stuff goes haywire and various ferocious predators break free and go on the hunt. Guys, this is a movie I was raised on. I absolutely adore Jurassic Park to pieces. I must have rewatched a VHS tape of this thing, like, I don't even know how many times. This was on, like, all the time. It's kind of along the same lines as the Harry Potter movies for me. Jurassic Park is special. And you can certainly see on a rewatch almost 30 years later after its initial release, this movie holds up. It's not just because of the groundbreaking CGI, which still absolutely astounds me when I go back and rewatch this, but you also have some brilliant looking animatronics here for these mesmerizing creatures. Who will ever forget the birthing of that baby velociraptor, and John Hammond is welcoming him into the world, and it's just like, I never thought a vicious predator could look so adorable, but it did it. Steven Spielberg freaking did it. And if you look way back, if you dig deep into my arsenal of reviews here on my channel, I actually did review Jaws within the first couple of months I started making videos. I consider Jaws a masterpiece, but Jurassic Park may be even better than Jaws. I think it's got much more rewatchability factor. I think it definitely caters to a wider audience, and the messages that Jurassic Park carries with it still resonate. Granted, this comes from the original novel by Michael Crichton, which was a bestseller, and I've said this before and I'll say it to my dying breath, I love when a novel's author returns to help pen the movie's screenplay. And that's exactly what Michael Crichton does along with David Koepp. This is an absolutely breathtaking script from start to finish. This is not just a blockbuster movie for the sake of having big old dinosaur chases. No, it builds up to the first creature, the big Brachiosaurus, and Richard Attenborough, of course, says, "Welcome to Jurassic Park." And you, of course, get that shot first of Sam Neill looking at whatever it is, and the camera holds on Sam Neill for a really long time. And that really does say a lot. Not just about the masterful performances here, but Steven Spielberg's direction and this editing is just among the best you'll ever see. When the camera stays on Laura Dern's face and the camera pans up as she stands, and then it cuts to that first Brachiosaurus and you have John Williams' masterful score. And I'm talking like one of his best scores. This is one of the best composers that ever lived in John Williams, the composer of Star Wars, Indiana Jones. His Jurassic Park theme may just be his best. And that, I feel like, brings me to my biggest praise of Jurassic Park overall. To me, this is the perfect mix of whimsical wonderment and maximum tension. One scene, you will go from Laura Dern caring for this very sick Triceratops in a super heartwarming sequence, and then 5 minutes later, you will cut to the iconic Tyrannosaurus Rex sequence, and Oh man, if you want to talk about just one sequence by itself that I have rewatched over and over and over again, like, this whole second act in general is flawless. There's nothing wrong with it. But that whole T-Rex chase sequence, Jeff Goldblum sitting in the back of the Jeep, the kids pushing up against the bulletproof glass when the T-Rex tries to get to them, like, I cannot say enough good about that whole sequence. And the Tyrannosaurus Rex's roar when I first heard it as a little kid sent shivers up my spine, and you know what? Sitting here as a 25-year-old man after just rewatching the movie a couple of hours ago, that shiver is still there, man. Y'all know how good the performances are in this movie. Sam Neill, I feel like, is at his best. This is for sure his career highlight as Alan Grant. I love the scene where we're introduced to him, and he basically one-ups this kid who's like, oh, that velociraptor isn't that scary. Then he takes his little velociraptor claw that he just keeps in his pocket, and then he just spooks the kid half to death. It's so awesome. One performer I feel like doesn't get enough credit, though, is Laura Dern. She is outstanding in this film. Now, if you were to look at Laura Dern in 1993 in a movie like this, just based off a trailer, and you see her being chased around, you would think that she'd be a damsel in distress. But no, she's actually quite the badass here. And Sam Neill isn't going around having to save her all the time. Like, from the halfway point in the movie onward, they're basically split up at different points in the park. They don't interact with each other until the very end when you get that happy reunion with the kids, who are just great. Lex and Tim are actually among my favorite parts of the film, and those kids ran the risk of being really, really annoying, but the script was very, very smart to give them some really distinct character traits here. Lex, of course, being big into technology and being a hacker in her own right. Tim, of course, being the big Alan Grant fanboy. The first scene that they share together is so funny. Sam Neill wants nothing to do with this kid. But that's just the thing, though. These characters, just like Jaws, this isn't just a big monster movie where we just see dinosaurs gobbling people up. We get plenty of that, and it's gruesome, absolutely brutal, just limbs and blood everywhere. But you get some really thoughtful character discussion. I will never forget that dinner scene, the first time I watched it, and Jeff Goldblum's Ian Malcolm first brings the problem of Jurassic Park to the forefront. Are you sure it's a good idea to release these predators into the public? And John Hammond at first doesn't see it that way. He sees it as a revolutionary idea, a humongous investment. But Ian Malcolm knew it from the very beginning, and that's one thing I feel like all of us Jurassic Park fans share in common. We all agreed with Ian Malcolm from the very start. Well, not to mention, Jeff Goldblum is just incredibly entertaining from start to finish. There are just so many incredible one-liners. There's too many to count. Remind me to thank Mr. Hammond for the weekend getaway. He's just so slimy with Laura Dern as well. His chemistry with Sam Neill on screen is just perfect. The comedic timing is on point between those two. Richard Attenborough, of course, has that iconic presence. So welcoming. You also, of course, have Samuel L. Jackson in one of his earliest performances before Pulp Fiction really propelled his career. Please! God damn it! That movie is actually how I figured out who Samuel L. Jackson was when I was a kid, and I absolutely loved him. I wanted more of his character. I just thought he was so funny. But you know who's one actor who never gets enough credit, and I never hear enough people talk about him to this very day? Wayne Knight as Dennis. Talk about an entertaining and slimy little bad boy. And I couldn't believe it. I watched Space Jam before I ever watched Jurassic Park, and I was like, oh my god, Stan is this evildoer who's stealing all these dinosaur embryos? Like, what is he doing? But you know what? This casting just works, and the comeuppance that he gets is so satisfying. Honestly, guys, what more do you need me to say about Jurassic Park that you haven't heard already? This is one of the most masterfully directed films you will ever see. Steven Spielberg proves why he is one of the greatest to ever do it. This is a movie that has something that I feel like everybody of all ages can enjoy. It also brings you that sense of adventure that just makes you feel so warm inside. And this is what movies are all about. Providing that escape from the real world, the that we have going on in our lives. And we just get to forget about all of that for 2 hours. Jurassic Park is a perfect way to escape. Absolutely wonderful environment, terrifying creatures at some points as well. This is one of those few movies that I can sit here and say is absolutely perfect. There is not a single thing wrong with Jurassic Park. What other grade did you expect this movie to get other than an A+? This is usually where I'd sit here and recommend that you guys check this movie out, but let's face it, you probably already have. But let me know what you guys thought of Jurassic Park down in the comments section below. Let me know what your guys' memories behind this movie are. Do you have any favorite scenes from this film? Do you have any favorite moments from watching this movie? Honestly, I could talk about this movie for hours and hours and hours with you guys. Seeing that feedback in general makes things all the more fun for me in doing these videos, but for a special movie like this, it needs that discussion. If you guys are new to the channel also, welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm talking about all brand new things, movies and entertainment, all things Jurassic Park and the build up to Dominion. So if you guys want to keep up to date with me, do consider smashing that subscribe button and that notification bell right next to it. And feel free to also smash that like button on your way out as hard as you possibly can. All these things are super, super helpful to these videos and getting this content more out there. And I cannot sit here and thank you guys nearly enough for all the support you've provided for me so far. And stay tuned for more exciting videos hitting this channel very, very soon. This week, a couple new entries into the MCU as we wrap up Moon Knight, which is turning out to be my favorite show on Disney Plus so far. We're also going to be checking out Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness this weekend, finally. And of course, I will be continuing my journey through the Jurassic Park movies and the build-up to Dominion. Up next is The Lost World, a film that I actually consider supremely underrated and a great sequel. But guys, stay tuned for all that and much, much more. Y'all are the best. With all that being said, back talk, commence.